January 1945. Snow presses flat against the wire of prisoner of war camp 198, somewhere in southern England. The war feels close here, close enough to smell the cool smoke, close enough to hear bombers droning east at night, but officially, the fighting is far away. Inside the compound, the women wait. Jeff Ryder Anna Weiss stands in line for morning roll call, her breath a thin cloud in the gray air. She wears a faded Luftwaffe auxiliary uniform, wool skirt, patch coat, boots worn smooth by months of captivity. She is 24. She served as a signals clerk in occupied France, pushing papers and routing messages. She tells herself that makes her harmless. The guards do not argue. They watch, count, and move on. The camp holds nearly 400 German women clerks, radio operators, nurses captured as Allied armies rolled across Europe. They are supposed to be low risk. That is what the paperwork says. That is what Anna believes. Until the whispers start. It begins with a name spoken to carefully in the barracks after lights out. Then another. Then a list that makes no sense. Cities that are already falling. Units that officially no longer exist. Anna hears it from Hild Kruger, who sleeps 2 bunks down and used to work at a Luftwaffe administrative office in Berlin. They're still sending orders. Hild whispers, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Not from the front, from somewhere else. Anna turns on her side, heart ticking faster. The war is collapsing, she says. Everyone knows that. Hild swallows. That's what they want us to think. The next morning, everything changes. British officers arrive before breakfast, real officers, not camp guards. Their uniforms are crisp despite the cold. One carries a leather folder thick with documents. Another brings an interpreter. The women are ordered into the mess hall, benches scraping, voices dying as the doors close behind them. A map is pinned to the wall. Anna recognizes the shape of Germany, but the markings are wrong. Red circles appear far behind the front lines. Some are in towns she knows. One is near her home. The officer speaks calmly. Too calmly. There exists, the interpreter says, an organized network operating independently of the collapsing German command structure. Anna's stomach tightens. It involves couriers, safe houses, hidden transmitters, the interpreter continues, and female personnel already in Allied custody. A murmur ripples through the room. Shock, denial, fear. Anna feels it hit her like ice water. Female personnel, prisoners. The officer opens the folder. Names are read aloud. Anna listens, counting her breaths, until she hears one she recognizes. Then another. Women she shares bread with. Women who smile at roll call. The list is not finished. The officer pauses, then looks up, eyes scanning the room. We will begin individual interrogations immediately. Anna feels the weight of the moment settle on her chest. Around her, faces drain of color. The interrogations begin before the snow has finished falling. Anna waits outside the administration hut, boots sinking into slush, fingers numb despite the wool gloves issued by the British quartermaster. One by one, women disappear through the wooden door. Some return pale and silent. Others do not return at all. A corporal steps outside and calls her name. Inside, the air smells of damp paper and tobacco. A coal stove glows in the corner. 2 British officers sit at a table, one in Royal Military Police red cap band, the other in Intelligence Corps insignia. Between them lies a file thick with reports. Jeff Ryder Anna Weiss, the interpreter says. Signals clerk, Luftwaffe Administrative Branch, stationed at Tours, France. Captured August 1944. Anna nods. Her voice feels trapped in her throat. The intelligence officer slides a photograph across the table. It shows a woman in civilian clothes boarding a train in Belgium, hair tucked beneath a scarf, suitcase in hand. Do you know her? Anna studies the image carefully. The angle is grainy, distant, but she recognizes the posture, the way the shoulders square under pressure. Hild Kruger, she whispers. The officer watches her eyes, not her mouth. She was seen 3 weeks ago, the interpreter says, in Antwerp, after she was reported here in this camp. Anna feels the room tilt. That is impossible, she says quickly. She has been here since October. The intelligence officer opens another folder. Inside are intercepted radio transmissions, German codes partially decrypted, dates, coordinates. A phrase repeated several times. Bleiben bereit. Das Netz lebt. Stay ready. The network lives. We believe, the officer says, his voice steady, that certain prisoners have been communicating with operatives still at large in Europe, using concealed transmitters. Anna's heart pounds against her ribs. There are no radios in the barracks, she insists. They search us. Yet the transmissions continue. Silence settles heavy between them. The officer leans forward. Miss Weiss, Germany is collapsing. Berlin is under constant bombardment. The Ardennes offensive has failed. Yet someone is organizing escape routes, safe houses, and sabotage cells across occupied territory. He taps the folder. And we have reason to believe women trained in signals work are central to it. Anna understands the implication. She feels anger rise sharp, defensive. I routed paperwork, she says. I never handled field radios. The intelligence officer studies her for a long moment. Then he shifts the photograph slightly closer. We are not accusing you, he says quietly. Not yet. Outside, a truck engine roars to life. Anna's thoughts race. Hild in Antwerp, a hidden transmitter. A network still breathing while the Reich suffocates. Tell me, the officer continues, what did you really do in Tours? Anna remembers the office rows of teleprinters, stacks of cipher sheets. Officers speaking in clipped tones about fallback. The wind rattles the thin wooden walls, pushing cold air through cracks in the boards. 40 women lie in narrow bunks. Boots lie neatly beneath them, coats folded at their feet. The British lights go dark at 2100. After that, only whispers survive. Anna lies awake. Hild's bunk is empty. It was empty at evening roll call too. The guard had read her name twice before marking something on his clipboard. No explanation. No protest from the others. Just silence. Anna stares at the ceiling beams and tries to slow her breathing. She replays the interrogation. The photograph. Antwerp. A sighting weeks after. Hild was documented inside this camp. Someone is lying. Across the aisle, Marta Feldman, a former Red Cross nurse, shifts under her blanket. They took 3 today, she whispers. Anna turns slightly. For questioning. For transfer. Marta replies. That's what the sergeant said. Transfer. The word hangs in the darkness like frost. Outside, boots crunch on gravel. A searchlight sweeps past the frosted window, slicing pale light across the bunks. Anna keeps her eyes closed until it passes. Then she hears it. A faint metallic click. Not from outside. From inside the barracks. Her eyes open slowly. Another click. Then a soft scrape. She lifts her head. Just enough to see shadows moving. Near the far wall, 2 figures crouched. Beside the storage trunk where spare blankets are kept. One shields something small in her hands. A dim red glow flickers for less than a second. Anna's heart slams. A radio. The glow vanishes. One of the figures she recognizes the profile now. Sharp-nosed, tight-brayed Elsa Brandt, a former postal clerk from Cologne, slides something back into the trunk. The women separate silently and return to their bunks. Anna lowers her head before anyone sees her watching. Her pulse pounds in her ears. The British officers were right. The transmissions are coming from inside. But how? The camp is searched weekly. Personal belongings are inspected. The barracks are checked for contraband. Unless the device was brought in piece by piece, hidden in parcels, assembled quietly over months. She thinks of Tours, of rerouted civilian lines, of coded redundancies buried in administrative traffic. She remembers officers saying certain networks must survive even if command falls. Stay ready. The network lives. A floorboard creaks near her bunk. Anna stiffens. A shadow stops beside her bed. Did you see anything? Elsa's voice is barely audible. Anna keeps her breathing slow, feigning sleep. The shadow lingers. Then footsteps retreat. Minutes pass before Anna allows herself to inhale fully. She understands now that the interrogations are only the surface. Beneath it, something organized is operating with discipline, timing, purpose, and they know the British are suspicious, which means anyone who talks becomes a liability. Anna turns onto her side, staring at Hild's empty bunk. If Hild escaped, she is part of it. If she didn't escape. Frost clings to the barbed wire like shattered glass. The women stand in formation, boots aligned along the frozen gravel, coats buttoned to the throat. A Royal Military Police sergeant walks the line, his breath rising in steady clouds. Anna keeps her eyes forward. She feels it before she sees it, the shift in routine. 2 additional guards. A truck backed up near the administration hut. Its canvas flap is open. Names are called. Elsa Brand is first. A ripple passes through the line. Elsa steps out calmly, face unreadable, braid tight against her collar. She does not look at Anna. She does not look at anyone. Anna's stomach tightens. 3 more names follow. Then, Jeff Ryder, Anna Weiss. The sound strikes like a rifle crack. She steps forward, boots crunching over ice. Her pulse is steady now. Too steady? Inside the hut, the stove burns hotter than yesterday. The intelligence officer is already seated. The folder in front of him is thinner. He wastes no time. We search barracks C at 0200 hours. Anna's throat dries. We found this. He places a small metal object on the table. no larger than a matchbox, wires coiled tight, a crystal receiver, handmade but precise. Anna recognizes the components. Instantly, field expedient, portable, capable of short bursts on civilian frequencies. Hidden inside a hollowed boot heel, the officer continues. Brandt's bunk. Anna says nothing. We believe it was assembled over time. Parts smuggled in through Red Cross parcels. He studies her face. You have training in signal routing. You would understand how such a device avoids triangulation. Anna meets his eyes. I understand paperwork, she replies evenly. The officer leans back. Miss Weiss, we know transmissions left this camp. We intercepted fragments, routed through civilian switchboards, in Bristol and Cardiff. Messages to brief to trace fully. He slides a decoded fragment across the table. Phase Y bestätigt. Bleiben bereit. Contact nod. Phase 2 confirmed. Stay ready. Northern contact. Anna feels her composure fracture. Northern contact. Tour. That sealed envelope. The contingency network officers whispered about if France collapsed. Civilian relays. Sleeper couriers. Cells designed to operate even if Berlin went silent. She had thought it bureaucratic paranoia. The officer's voice lowers. Germany is days, perhaps weeks, from total defeat. Yet someone believes Phase 2 is active. He lets the silence press. If you are not involved, then you are in danger. Because whoever is running this will eliminate weak links. A knock interrupts them. A guard steps inside, murmurs something urgent. The officer's expression shifts just slightly. What happened? Anna asks before she can stop herself. The officer hesitates. One of the detainees attempted escape during transfer, he says carefully. She did not survive. Anna feels cold flood her limbs. Who? She whispers. The officer does not answer directly, but he does not need to. Hild. Searchlights remain on until dawn. Guards patrol in pairs now, rifles loaded, boots grinding deep into the snow. Barracks are emptied one by one, mattresses sliced open, floorboards pried loose. The women stand outside in silence while their lives are dismantled plank by plank. Anna watches it happen. She keeps her hands steady at her sides, but her thoughts churn. If the British found one transmitter, they will find more. Networks like this are never built on a single device. They require redundancy, layers. That is what she remembers from tour. Contingency planning. If command falls, the net survives. By midday, Anna is summoned again. This time the interrogation hut feels different, more urgent. A wireless set hums softly on a side table. A British signalman adjusts dials, headphones pressed tight. The intelligence officer speaks without preamble. We intercepted a transmission at 043 hours. Short burst, encoded. It referenced this camp. He gestures to the signalman, who removes his headphones. Direction finding places the source within 200 yards. The man says, inside the perimeter. Anna feels her pulse spike. But we confiscated Brandt's device, she says. The officer nods slowly. Exactly. Silence stretches. Phase 2 is active, he continues, which means external cells expect coordination from inside. Anna's mind races. Phase 2 was never random sabotage. It was a preservation plan. Safe houses for key personnel. Document caches. Escape corridors into neutral territory: Spain, Sweden, Switzerland. Women like her were not soldiers. They were clerks, administrators, invisible, perfect couriers. You processed fallback traffic in Tours, the officer says quietly. We recovered archives after liberation. Your initials appear on several rerouted communications. Anna's throat tightens. I followed orders. Whose orders? She hesitates, and in that pause, she understands something terrifying. If she names the officer who signed those directives, she confirms the network's design. If she stays silent, she confirms loyalty. Either way, she is no longer harmless. A knock interrupts them again. The door opens sharply. Sir, a guard says, breathless. We found something under Barracks C. The officer stands immediately. Anna is pulled outside with them, boots slipping over packed ice. A section of floor has been torn open. Beneath the trapped-in oilcloth lies a second transmitter. Larger, more powerful. A battery pack attached. But what freezes Anna is not the device. It is the folded sheet tucked beside it. A list. Names written in careful script. Some are crossed out. Some are not. The officer unfolds it slowly. Anna's eyes skim the page. Her name is there, not crossed out. The wind cuts across the yard, sharp and merciless. The officer looks at her differently now, not as a witness, but as a note. You understand, he says softly, that this changes everything. No announcement, no explanation to the others, just a quiet order, 2 guards, and the back of a canvas-covered truck idling beyond the gate. Anna does not resist. The snow has begun again fine. Dry flakes that blur the watchtowers into pale silhouettes. As she climbs into the truck bed, she catches Marta's eyes across the yard. Fear there, and something else. Expectation. The tailgate slams shut. The truck rolls out of Camp 198 without headlights. Inside the canvas darkness, Anna sits alone on a wooden bench bolted to the metal frame. A British sergeant rides opposite her, rifle across his knees. He does not speak. The road turns rough. Gravel shifts beneath the tires. She counts the seconds between bends, between gear changes, a habit from signal routing tracking movement without maps. After nearly an hour, the truck slows. When the flap opens, she smells salt. A coastal facility, smaller than the camp, quieter. She is led into a low brick building. Blackout curtains drawn tight across the windows. Inside, a single overhead lamp casts the harsh cone of light over a wooden table. The intelligence officer waits, but this time, he is not alone. A naval commander stands beside him, dark blue uniform immaculate, cap tucked beneath his arm. His eyes are colder. We've decrypted more of the transmissions, the officer says without greeting. They reference maritime corridors. The naval commander unfolds a chart across the table. The English Channel. Thin pencil lines stretch from the English coast toward neutral Spain, toward the Bay of Biscay. Submarine rendezvous points, the commander says flatly. Post-defeat extraction routes. Anna stares at the map. Extraction, not sabotage. Evacuation. Phase 2 was never about fighting on. It was about survival. The network intends to move personnel out of Europe before total surrender. The intelligence officer continues. Scientists, intelligence officers, couriers. His gaze fixes on her. Women in Allied custody were to confirm safe departure windows. Shortwave bursts, encoded timing. Anna feels the pieces align with brutal clarity. Civilian relays, brief transmissions, northern contact. She was not meant to fight. She was meant to signal. The naval commander steps closer. A coded burst was transmitted tonight, he says. After we found the second device. Anna's heart pounds. That means someone inside your camp still has access, the officer says. Or someone already extracted. Hild. The thought crashed through her. The officer lowers his voice. We can charge you as an enemy agent. You understand what that means in wartime. Anna nods slowly. Or, he continues, you can help us transmit something back. Silence. The lamp hums overhead. We want to feed them false confirmation, the naval commander says. Draw the extraction cell into open water. A trap. Anna studies the chart. The pencil lines crossing dark sea. If she cooperates, she betrays whatever remains of her country's chain of command. British signalmen lay the confiscated components carefully across the wooden table. The larger battery pack hums faintly once connected. Wires are tightened. A shortwave frequency is dialed in, calibrated to match the pattern intercepted from Camp 198. Anna watches every movement. She knows this equipment, not the exact device but the rhythm of it. The breath before transmission, the discipline of brevity. The intelligence officer nods once. You will send exactly what we've written, he says. Nothing more. The sheet lies in front of her. Phase Y bestätigt. Fenster offen. Nordroute sicher. Phase 2 confirmed. Window open. Northern route secure. She hesitates only a second before taking the headphones. The room narrows. Static hisses in her ears like distant whine through trees. She adjusts the tuning dial slightly, just enough to create authenticity. Too clean, and it sounds staged. The naval commander watches her fingers. You've done this before, he says quietly. Anna does not answer. She presses the key. The first burst is short, clean, measured, each letter tapped in precise cadence. When she finishes, the room returns the lamp. The chart, the two officers waiting. How long? The intelligence officer asks the signalman. If they're monitoring continuously. Minutes, the man replies. They wait. 30 seconds stretch thin. Then, a faint crackle through the headphones. Anna stiffens. The signalman leans in, adjusting gain. A response forms through static. Weak at first, then clearer. Bestätigt. Treffen Dammering. Coordinate folgt. Confirmed. Rendezvous at dusk. Coordinates to follow. The naval commander's jaw tightens. They took the bait. Another burst follows. Numbers. Grid references. The signalman scribbles quickly. The commander studies the coordinates. Western Channel, he mutters. Near a known U-boat corridor. Anna removes the headphones slowly. It is real. Somewhere in cold Atlantic waters, a submarine or a disguised trawler prepares to surface. Not to attack. To retrieve. The intelligence officer looks at her differently now, not as suspect, but as instrument. You've just helped us intercept an active extraction operation. Anna feels no triumph, only a deep, hollow weight. because whoever answers that rendezvous believes in the same survival plan she once processed on paper. And if a U-boat surfaces tomorrow, British destroyers will be waiting. The naval commander folds the chart decisively. We move tonight. He turns to Anna. You'll remain here. But she knows that is not entirely true. Because if the extraction cell suspects deception, they will attempt secondary contact. And only someone fluent in the original signal patterns can maintain the illusion. The officer studies her face again. You understand, he says quietly, that if this works, we collapse the entire network. Anna thinks of Hild, of the list under the floorboards, of names crossed out. Networks do not collapse quietly, they fracture. Anna is not left behind. At 04 hours, a guard opens the small holding room and gestures silently. She is given her coat, her boots, and nothing else. Outside, the air tastes of salt and diesel. Royal Navy trucks idle beside the pier. The naval commander stands near the gangway of a Hunt-class destroyer, its hull dark and wet against the quay. Depth charges are secured along the stern racks. Signal lamps are mounted near the bridge, lenses polished despite the coming storm. You'll remain below deck, he tells her. If secondary confirmation is requested, you will provide it. Anna nods. She boards under watch, boots clanging against steel steps. The deck vibrates beneath her as engines warm. Sailors move with clipped efficiency, woolen caps low against the wind. At 05:00, they cast off. The harbor slips behind them, swallowed by fog. Below deck, Anna sits at a small radio station installed near the communications room. A British signalman adjusts the equipment but does not remove his sidearm. She notices everything: the frequency crystals, the spare coils, the emergency destroyer codebook locked in a metal drawer. They head southwest into open water. By midday, the sea grows restless. Waves slap against the hull. The destroyer cuts through gray swells, but rising and falling in steady rhythm. On the bridge above, lookouts scan with binoculars. At 14:30 hours, the first signal arrives. A short burst, Anghuring Bay Dammering. 6 signal or Wartet. Approach at dusk. Visual signal expected. The signalman glances at Anna. They want light confirmation. The naval commander steps into the cramped compartment. You will send acknowledgement. Standard pattern. Anna swallows. She knows the pattern. 2 short flashes. Pause. 1 long. The code used in fallback maritime rendezvous. She transmits the acknowledgement exactly as trained. The destroyer alters course slightly, engines increasing speed. By 1700 hours, dusk settles early beneath thick cloud. Visibility drops to a mile. The wind sharpens, carrying the metallic scent of cold ocean. Men take positions along the deck. Depth charge crews stand ready. A second destroyer appears on the horizon, barely visible through mist reinforcements. Anna is brought briefly above deck under guard. The sea stretches endless and dark. Then, a shape, low, black, rising slowly from beneath the waters. Surface half a mile off the port bow. Periscope first, then conning tower. A U-boat. It surfaces cautiously, gray hull slick with seawater. No deck gun crew visible yet. No flag raised. The naval commander raises binoculars. They're signaling. A lookout shouts. From the submarine's bridge, a shaded lantern flickers. 2 short flashes. Pause. 1 long. The agreed code. They believe. Anna feels the weight of it crush her chest. If the destroyer fires now, it will be slaughter. If they wait, the submarine may detect the trap. The commander lowers his binoculars slowly. Hold fire, he orders. He turns toward Anna. The U-boat rides low in the water, engines idling. Bow cutting gently through dark swells. No deck gun crew. No visible torpedo crew. Only 2 figures on the conning tower, binoculars raised. They are cautious. The destroyer maintains speed just below attack posture. Depth charge crews remain frozen in readiness, hands on release levers, waiting for the order that will decide everything. Anna stands beneath the signal lamp, guarded but not restrained. The naval commander watches her, measuring. Again, he says quietly. She lifts the lamp. 2 short flashes. Pause. 1 long. The light cuts through mist like a blade. On the U-boat, a hatch creaks open. A third figure emerges, officer's cap, heavy naval coat. He scans the destroyer carefully, then gestures behind him. A small rubber dinghy is lowered into the sea. Anna's breath catches. They are not preparing to fight. They are preparing to transfer. The British commander murmurs to his gunnery officer. Let them commit. The dinghy pushes off from the submarine, to sailors rowing toward the destroyer. Between them sits a single passenger wrapped in a dark overcoat, collar pulled high. Even at this distance, Anna feels recognition building in her chest. The posture, the stillness. As the dinghy approaches, the destroyer reduces speed further. Sailors lower a rope ladder. The passenger rises carefully in the rocking boat. Blonde hair beneath a wool cap. Sharp nose. Shoulders squared under pressure. Hild. Anna's vision blurs for a second. She had not died during transfer. She had been extracted. The dinghy bumps against the destroyer's hull. British sailors haul it close. Weapons remain trained but unfired. Hild climbs the ladder steadily, boots slipping once before regaining balance. When she reaches the deck, she freezes. British uniforms, not German. Understanding dawns across her face like a slow wound. The naval commander steps forward, revolver visible but lowered. "Welcome aboard," he says evenly. Behind them, the U-boat remains surfaced waiting. Its crew still believes the transfer is proceeding as planned. Hild's eyes scan the deck and land on Anna. Shock. Betrayal. For a brief second, neither woman moves. "You signaled," Hild whispers. Anna cannot answer. On the horizon, the second British destroyer emerges fully from fog. Engines roaring, guns trained. The U-boat's crew notices too late. A flare streaks upward from the British deck, brilliant white against dark sky. The trap closes. From the submarine, frantic motion erupts. The dinghy is abandoned. The conning tower crew scramble. "Signal them to surrender," the commander orders. Anna's hands tremble as she lifts the lamp once more. 2 long flashes. The code for abort. But this time, it is not mercy. It is ultimatum. Across the water, the U-boat hesitates. Then its bow begins to dip, preparing to dive. The commander's voice cuts through wind. Fire warning shot. A naval gun roars. Spray falls back into the Atlantic in heavy sheets. The U-boat hangs there, half committed to descent, bow angled downward, stern still exposed to gray air. On the British destroyer, every man waits for the next movement. Through binoculars, the naval commander watches the conning tower. "Hold," he orders. Anna stands rigid, the signal lamp heavy in her hands. Hild is 2 paces away, flanked by armed sailors. Her face is pale, but not broken. Her eyes burn with something harder than fear. Across the water, a white flag begins to rise slowly from the U-boat's bridge. It flutters once in the wind. Surrender. A collective exhale moves through the British deck, quiet but unmistakable. "Maintain cover," the commander says. "Boarding party ready." The second destroyer closes in from the east, cutting off any retreat. The U-boat's engines fall silent. One by one, German sailors emerge onto the deck, hands raised, faces drawn from weeks at sea. A boarding team crosses over in a motor launch. Anna watches as British sailors climb onto the submarine's slick hull. Weapons trained, boots careful on wet steel. Orders are shouted in clipped German and English. Within minutes, the hatch is secured. The crew disarmed. The hidden network's maritime artery severed. Beside her, Hild speaks without looking at her. "You chose them," Anna answers quietly. "I chose to stop this." Hild turns sharply. "You think it ends here?" The wind snaps her coat collar. "Phase 2 was only extraction," Hild continues. "You intercepted 1 boat, not the network." Anna feels the truth in that. Networks are not single lines. They are webs. The naval commander approaches, removing his cap briefly in the cold wind. "The submarine will be escorted to Plymouth," he says. "Intelligence teams will handle the rest." His eyes shift between the 2 women. "You both will be separated." Hild smiles faintly, a thin, defiant line. "You believe this was about survival?" she asks Anna softly. "It was about preservation." "Of what?" Anna asks. "Of knowledge. Of loyalty. Of people who refuse to vanish." Anna has no answer, because part of her remembers those sealed envelopes into orders, stamped with urgency, not fanaticism. Plans to move scientists, code experts, intelligence officers before chaos consumed Germany. Was it ideology or desperation? As the boarding party signals completion, British sailors begin towing the captured U-boat into formation between the destroyers. Dusk deepens. The Atlantic swallows the last light. Anna looks out over dark water and understands something heavy and unfinished. They have captured a vessel. They have exposed 1 corridor. But somewhere inland, somewhere beyond barbed wire and bombed cities, other cells may still be waiting for a signal that will never come. Or perhaps, a signal already sent. Behind her, Hild is led below deck in irons. The wind rises again, carrying salt and uncertainty. And as the convoy turns toward England, the U-boat enters under heavy escort, gray hull scarred by salt and surrender. Dock workers pause. Royal Navy officers line the quay. Intelligence men wait with folders already open. Anna stands on the destroyer's deck as the mooring lines are thrown. The war in Europe is nearly over. Rumors move faster than official bulletins now. The Americans are closing in from the west. The Soviets are at the gates of Berlin. But here, The war has narrowed to paper and interrogation rooms. Hild is taken ashore first. No defiance now, just quiet calculation. She does not look back. Anna is escorted separately to a stone building overlooking the harbor. Naval intelligence. Thick walls. Narrow windows. No insignia outside. Inside, the atmosphere is clinical. Files from the submarine are already spread across long tables, cipher books, sealed envelopes, microfilm canisters hidden inside spare torpedo housings. The intelligence officer who first questioned her stands beside them. "We found passenger manifests," he says without greeting. "Names scheduled for extraction over the next 6 weeks." He slides a document toward her. Columns of typed entries. Scientists from Peenemünde, signals officers from Berlin, civil administrators from occupied France. Women listed under operational designations. Courier nod. Verbindungssud. Anna scans the page. Some names are crossed out, successfully extracted before the trap. Others remain uncrossed. The officer's voice lowers. Phase 2 was broader than we imagined. Not sabotage. Not insurgency. Continuity, Anna says quietly. He nods. Preservation of technical and intelligence assets before surrender. The officer studies her. Your cooperation prevented at least one successful corridor. Anna does not feel victorious. She feels older. Outside the window, she hears harbor bells and distant ship horns. War machinery winding down. A continent collapsing into ceasefire. "And the others?" she asks. The officer closes the file. "We are moving quickly. Signals from your camp have ceased. We believe several cells went dark after the submarine failed to report. Went dark, dispersed, silent, waiting for a future no one can predict. Hild will be interrogated. The submarine crew processed. Documents catalogued. History will record this as a captured U-boat. A minor naval success. It will not record the hidden lists under barracks floors. The women routing messages through civilian lines. The quiet plan to move knowledge beyond defeat." The officer pauses at the door. "You had a choice," he says. Many did not. When he leaves, Anna remains by the window. She thinks of Tour, of sealed envelopes stamped Sonderauftrag, of how bureaucratic ink can shape survival long after armies fail. The war will end soon. Germany will surrender. But networks built in secrecy do not simply disappear. They dissolve into new names, new allegiances, new continents. Anna watches the captured U-boat being towed toward a guarded berth. Steel reduced to evidence.